doing?
Hello, Danny. We're good, thank you.
Good on you, thanks. Just out. Be with you now just in 2 minutes. I'm just getting sorted here myself as well.
Say that again. Sorry.
I'll get the video on here now in a wee minute.
Oh, right, great.
What you should just internet connections coming and going here at the minute. I'm up in the wilds of northwest Ireland here, so
great.
So be with you soon. Okay, I'll just make sure that the router's going half an hour or so. You said it lasts roughly.
Yes. We should be finished by 12:30. Yeah.
That's lovely. Thanks, ladies. Be with you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're just seeing if there's a few more joining. Yesterday we had about 3 or 4. We didn't advertise it very well, only because Jag and I recently met and we clicked and decided, oh, let's do this. So it was very much a last minute thing.
No, that's good. It's good.
But yeah, the video will be posted up for having a look afterwards. And please do ask us questions if you have any.
That's great. Thank you.
And what do you do, Danny?
What I do, health and safety consultant. I was over and back to the UK quite a lot. I've been working in the UK and Ireland this last 30 odd years. So
wow, amazing.
Since COVID now, I've been restricted travel wise for a few months, so just trying to touch base again,
Great.
So I won't be teaching you anything new on the safety front, but you'll definitely find it interesting what detail we'll be going through and how we can relate that to safety. You'll find that really interesting.
Yeah. That's good. Looking forward. Great. Thank you.
Hi, Rosita. Hi, Janet.
Welcome back. Hello, Janet.
Hi.
Awesome. Brilliant.
Okay, yeah, I think let's dive in because I don't want to wait too long like yesterday. Let me just share my screen with you guys. Bear with me 1 second.
Hi, Rosita.
Share. There we go. I'll just move my video. Go for it.
Here we go.
Yes, do a quick introduction for those who don't know you, and then I'll do mine.
Hey everybody, welcome and thank you for joining us for this daily toolbox talk. Like Gita mentioned earlier, this is a very new thing that we were doing and we wanted to make the most of Safety Week this week. And so who am I? My name is Jag Kumari and I've been in the industry for 18 years. Previously is construction management, managing on-site, and then I transferred onto health and safety in site and specializing as a group advisor for many companies. And for the last 4.5 years, I've been working for myself. And my main concern is to make sure that all companies are aware of their health and safety responsibilities, what they should be doing for their workers, and making sure that they've not only got everything in place from a legal perspective, but their guys do go home safe every day.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just reading the chat. I'll move
and the
that
company
across.
The company I work for is Audit Comply and Profit Limited. So we audit you, we make sure you're compliant, and then we also, it's not just like in every way, whether it's the human element or the financial element, we're making sure you're making a profit as well.
Hi, Sue. Thanks for joining. I just saw you jumped on. So for those who don't know me, Gita from Rewind Your Mind. I also come from a construction background, but before that, I've been trained as a therapist and then worked part-time as a therapist, part-time in construction. And it was during my time in construction that I saw, gosh, these guys really need help and support with regards to mental health. So I decided to leave my job in construction and rather use the skills I learned as a therapist to bring that to construction so that I can help people with their mental health and just overall, especially working with health and safety managers to try and get them to understand that mental health and safety literally goes hand in hand. So Jag and I share the same ideas on it because she does the physical health and safety and proper safety on site, and I look at the mental health, and it just interlinks the whole time. So this is it. Jag, I'm going to give it over to you. So you start with your first slide.
Oh, I thought you were starting first.
No, you said you will be.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There we go.
So what we're looking at today, we're looking at plant and pedestrian safety. So shockingly, the magic number for today's statistics is 25%. So we had 25% of fatal injuries in 2018 to 2019, which are all due to being trapped by something or collapsed or overturning or struck by a moving vehicle, which is quite shocking. Like 25% of the fatalities was just pedestrian and plant. The next one was 25% in 2016, 25% of all the fatalities on our roads were pedestrians. Next one. And then of those 25%, 53% were in London. So that's really shocking as well. So these are just pedestrians, and we have a number of construction sites in London everywhere. So pedestrians, you know, like there's obviously cyclists as well, which is another area that we look into. But today we're looking at pedestrians, and this is just in and around our site, you know, not even on site. We're just looking at pedestrians when they're walking near a construction site. So we've got the look at before you step out, don't chance it. So just some basics really, and it is really going back to the basics. So who are the people who are concerned? If we could just bring those down as well. So we have adults who are crossing. So we've got busy adults who are working, who are rushing around, often looking at their mobile phones, just stressed out, or they might be, you know, completely distracted and they're crossing the road. We've got crossing with your children, right? And again, busy roads in London, that's very common. And there's peak times in particular, obviously, when they're dropping them to school and picking them up from school. Then we've got the crossing between parked vehicles. Again, in London, we have huge amounts of traffic, and we tend to have a big bus, or we may have an LGV building, lorry, and we tend to try and go through the vehicles instead of going to an actual crossing. So what are the basics? It's like when we were children. It's going back to the basics. Look, like, you know, let's look left and right, like where are we going? Is there a traffic light? Is there a crossing? Is there a zebra that we could, a zebra crossing instead of taking the risk of going in between vehicles? You know, don't have your headphones in, don't be distracted by your phone. When you're actually crossing, actually look and listen what is actually going on around you.
Next slide.
Yeah, oh, okay, no, go back, that's fine. Yeah, another slide on that. No, okay, we changed that. So yeah, basically, always use the crossing if you can. It means walking a bit further often, but pedestrians are 3 times more likely to be killed, believe it or not, when they don't use a crossing. So I know it's so basic about using a crossing, but there is actually a 3 times higher chance of somebody actually getting killed if they don't use a crossing. So as basic as it is, it does have a huge impact, not taking that into consideration. So yeah, we can go into the next one.
Okay.
We're also looking at plant today as well. And instead of looking at a number of different plant, we decided to look at forklifts, because the forklifts are officially the most dangerous form of workplace transport in construction, and 25% of the workplace injuries are a direct result of forklift truck accidents. And like, which job doesn't have a forklift, right? Whether it's construction, whether it's a warehouse, whether it's just a small site, a forklift is the most common form of plant that's used on pretty much every single construction site or a warehouse. And so to not be able to take that into consideration, I thought it was more important to look at a forklift today, because I have seen, I have worked with employers before when I've gone to their site and asked them for a forklift license or some kind of training record. They haven't had one. And it's been really shocking, because I'm like, yeah, but he's doing all this work and he's got all these pedestrians, he's got workers around him, and you've just gone on the basis that he can drive, you know? And so we have this illusion that we can just have some basic training for forklift training. But if people knew that 25% of the accidents were due to the forklift, maybe we would have more training in place. It is also a legal requirement, right? So what's the next? So what regulations cover this? So we have PUA. I never know how to say that properly, but that's provision and use, yeah, something like that. Provision and use of work equipment regulations 1998. Under this one, go to the next one. Under this regulation, all employers must ensure that their forklift drivers are competent and they've had the adequate training. Not having this kind of training means we are actually not reducing risk. We're actually, you know, we're putting everyone at high risk, not just the driver, but everyone around that driver. And often there's a number of people. The forklift driver would normally be in the middle of where we have materials being stored, where we have a pedestrian crossing right next to it. We may have the workers crossing just across it as well. Or sometimes I've gone into a site and the pedestrians literally, you know, in the entrance. So it's really, there's a certain level of training that needs to be taken. So if you have forklift on your site, please ensure that it is official, adequate training. And also the forklift driver does learn how to actually manage the job, the site itself. So help you with the planning, like traffic management planning. Most jobs now have to have a traffic management plan because of all the accidents that have been taking place. That is the main reason why traffic management plans are must be in place before you can start working nowadays. So an absence of this training could be detrimental to the welfare of the company, of your workforce. Next
one, sorry.
Yeah. So what we'll be following on to soon, when Geeta starts to speak, is also recognizing the behaviors which could impact the competency of the forklift driver and the operatives on site as well. So basically, before we look at the plant, we will normally do a checklist, right? We will check, is the forklift correct? You know, is it working okay? Is the handle working? Are the tires okay? Is the hire fixed on properly? You know, we will check for, are there any defects? Often what we don't do, and this is why I wanted to do this with Geeta today, is we don't look at the behaviors of people on site. And not only this year, but obviously in the last few years, we have seen mental health, stress, depression on the rise. And our guys on site are dealing with things outside of the site work. So they will come to site and they will have certain behaviors that we need to be aware of. So, and they will all be stemming from some kind of stress. So we will be going into that shortly, but that's a really important element that often as safety officers, we don't include as a pre-check. Yeah, so often we have daily briefings on site, and we'll have risk assessment. We will never include the behavior in the risk assessment, you know. And so it's really looking at, Danny, like as a health and safety consultant, you'll probably find most risk assessments don't say if they're behaving this way, don't let them drive it. You know, it's always about the plant itself, right? So today, what's going to be great, Danny, you'll get to see that at the end of it, with how behavior should be also included in the risk assessment. And how something as simple as a daily briefing in the morning will help the site manager get really, like if he knew what he was looking for, he'd be a lot more aware on maybe taking that person to one side and saying, listen, is everything okay? Are you sure you're okay to work? Because often these operatives can have accidents who are not driving the plant because they're just not fully present. As well. So we really want to make sure that they're fully present. And if there is something that they need to speak about, we can pick that up as a site manager or a health and safety manager or a supervisor. So the risk assessment obviously helps out with a safer work environment. And we're educating our employees, sorry.
That's all right.
So there we got just the basics here. So for those of you who do have a forklift on your site, some do's and don'ts. So wear appropriate protective clothing. So your PPE, just always make sure you're visible. Companies typically have a 5-point PPE, and that applies to you even if you're a forklift driver. Even more if you're a pedestrian or an operative on site as well. You definitely need to be wearing your PPE so that the forklift driver can see you. Travel with the forks lowered but clear of the ground. Check the surround, and you know, I know I say this, travel with the forks lowered, but the amount of times you see that not happening is amazing. But yes, check your surroundings before moving off and always look in the direction that you're traveling. Apply the brake, switch off and remove the key before leaving the forklift. Then place the key in a safe location, which would probably be the office, site office, for example. Slow down at the corners. And again, I have actually seen some crazy forklift drivers. And yeah, that's something that needs to be stopped. If you see a forklift driver driving a little bit too fast, will be too fast, let's put it that way, on a site. So, you know, so make sure, you know, you're aware that they shouldn't be driving too fast, and they can sound their horn. That's something they will check before they actually start. Yeah. So operate. So what you don't do, even though I feel like I did sort of cover that little do's. Let me just put this. What's happened to my? Sorry, there's something just happened on my screen.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So operate the forklift. Do not operate the forklift unless trained, competent, and authorized to do so. And like I've said, I'm working with a lot of residential construction companies at the moment, and a lot of them don't have the correct training. And so this is my concern, is that most companies don't actually know which training they should have. So please look for what is the appropriate training for forklift training, and that with your forklift driver and make sure it's correct. Do not use mobile phones or handheld devices whilst operating the plant. Do not stop abruptly and make sudden quick turns. And do not carry out repairs. Leave this job to a qualified maintenance engineer. And do not travel on uneven ground or run over unprotected cables or pipes. So I know some of these things probably sound really, really obvious, but unfortunately, these are things I have actually seen on sites. So it is still something, if the site managers or the project managers are not aware of this, they will allow it, and that's the problem. So, you know, if you are on a site, if you see it, you know, please do say something. Please don't stay quiet about it. Just say, look, I'm a little bit worried that that person was just doing this. Are they supposed to be doing this? Yeah.
Great. So that's it, Jag. Was there anything else you wanted to add on?
No, I might have a bit to add on when you're speaking.
All right.
Yeah. So
my slide is a little bit different, and we're actually looking at the link between mental health and safety on site. Yeah. Now, when we're going through a mental health problem, or you know, just feeling not completely stable mentally, and whether that is for the day, for the week, the month, the year, we will have dips where we go in and out of our mental health state. So we'll be affected in a few different ways. You will be affected emotionally, physically, cognitively, your thinking and your behavior. And the behavior part is which Jag was mentioned earlier, where you can actually see people changing differently. Now, when you're going through a mental health problem emotionally, you'll start to notice people will go through mood swings. They might have angry outbursts or feel frustrated and irritable, and sometimes even crying. Now, on site, it's a little bit less likely that you'll see the boys cry, but I have seen it too. It's just when they at the end of their rope and they actually just can't hold it anymore. Now, the main thing before I continue with this is, if you think about it, when you're at work, we spend more time at work with our colleagues than we do at home with friends or family. And when we do go home, that's when you tend to hide things more, because you're like, I've just had a rough day at work. I don't want to think about it. So I'm going to put on a brave face for my family and just forget about everything that's happened. But when you're at work, you're under stress, you're under pressure, and this is when these mood swings or these angry outbursts are likely to come up, and your colleagues will start to notice it. So the main thing really is, you as a colleague, for whoever, you are first to notice these signs. And if you don't speak up and say to them, hey mate, something's differently wrong with you, something's different, it's been going on for 2 weeks or 6 weeks. 6 weeks is way too late, by the way. You should really have said something earlier. But speak up, go and reach out to them and say, can we just talk? What's going on for you? Now, physically, they will start to complain of headaches, nausea, stomach cramps. I mean, people with irritable bowel syndrome suffer from stress. Panic attacks, lots of times I've been called on a site where all of a sudden guys started getting panic attacks. They think it's a heart attack. Ambulance is called, they're in the ambulance, lose a day or two of work. It's a severe fright for anyone really to think they might have a heart attack, and then they find out actually it was a panic attack. But a panic attack is so severe, and the feelings that you have with it, it's absolutely awful to go through. And the problem with panic attacks is, normally once you get 1 or 2 and you're really under stress and you're not dealing with it, you begin to have panic attacks more and more and more. And the panic attacks is basically a fear of a fear. So first of all, you had the panic attack because you were so anxious, so fearful of something. And then you begin to have panic attacks because you're fearful of having another panic attack. So it's literally a fear of a fear, and they just keep coming more and more and more regular, and it can be absolutely debilitating. And then of course, fatigue. When you've got burnout or fatigue, you're just absolutely exhausted. Now, there's lots of things that can cause fatigue. You know, it could be hormonal, there could be a physical issue, a medical issue, but lots of times fatigue is due to burnout and stress. But do get checked out by a doctor if you're feeling that severe fatigue. Cognitively, someone will have uncharacteristic signs of distraction, concentration, memory problems. They'll have an unusual ability to make decisions, and unusual performance difficulties. they forget to do things and start making mistakes. And because of that, they then take unnecessary risks and they are impulsive. And just at the start, when Jag was talking about pedestrians being hit so easily, sometimes we just don't think. Your mind is in a different place, or you think, oh, it's okay, I'll quickly jump in front of this bus, I'll make it in time. And then your shoe trips or something happens, or you drop something, and then you're right in front of that bus or that car. You can't be taking risks. But when we're mentally not really there, when we're struggling with whatever's happening in our heads, we are taking risks. We aren't thinking clearly. And by taking risks, we don't just put ourselves in danger, we put those that work with us or walk with us in danger as well. So we've got to start, well, we don't always recognize when we've got these characteristics happening for us, but your workmates will start noticing that sooner than you will. And then lastly, the behavior. So they'll start to show unusual behavior. You know, they'll start to be late frequently or absent all the time. They'll have a marked loss of interest and desire to be involved. They won't want to go to the pub anymore, or don't want to do teamwork. They have strange or grandiose ideas, excessively high or excessively low energy levels, signs that could point to substance abuse. Maybe they're drinking more, they're smoking more, maybe they're taking, even Red Bull is in a way a substance abuse. You know, they just drinking so much Red Bull to stay awake or to have that energy. And of course, social withdrawal. So just looking at the sheet, there's a lot of things that you will start to notice in your peers if they are struggling with a mental health issue. And I've had it where people say to me, well, actually, to give you a good example, I was on a site and I was doing deep relaxation sessions where the guys just lie down for about 45 minutes to an hour and just relax on a level they've never experienced before. And that seems to be the most popular thing I do. But during the session, I noticed someone was in severe distress and the guy was actually weeping. I couldn't get to him. He was on the other side of the room with everyone lying down. And eventually I sort of ended the session, but told everyone to stay put for the next 2 minutes, just relax until I tell them to open their eyes. And that sort of gave that guy 2 minutes to get up and leave. I got his contact details. I got in touch with someone else. And his mate said, oh yeah, actually, I've noticed this guy has been struggling for 6 weeks already, but we don't really know what to do. And I'm like, 6 weeks? Oh my goodness, do you know what can happen in 6 weeks? You know, touch wood. But he could have, you know, that might have been the cherry on the top, and he could have committed suicide, or he could have had a complete burnout, meaning he'd be unable to work again. So you as a colleague need to start noticing these signs, which you will earlier than you would notice it in yourself. So notice it in your workmates and reach out. Don't leave it and think it's going to go away and disappear. And it might not even be related to work. It can be very much related to stuff happening at home, but it is affecting how he works, making it so unsafe for himself and everyone around him. Jad, do you want to add something?
Yeah, sorry, I did want to before you got into the behaviors. So if you look at things like mood swings, angry outbursts, irritability, just those first three in the emotional section, they're quite normal in construction, right? Like they're really an everyday thing. You see people having a mood swing all the time, an angry outburst. I used to always say, because I've been in construction management for 8 years prior to going into health and safety, that was even quite a normal thing for me to do. Like, you know, I would just be like, whatever. And the normal thing to do on site is just to obviously not hold a grudge and just, well, it's a job, we've got a job to do, let's just carry on. That's kind of like the attitude. We don't want to give this any more attention. It was what it was, let's just carry on. Yeah, and that's such a normal thing to do, to just keep on sweeping it under the rug. And all that's going to do is just keep on creating more of an angry outburst. You know, like you're going to get more and more of them, and you'll get more irritable. You'll just get triggered easily because there's a sense of just like, oh, nothing's just enough. You know, you just get really irritable. And then physical, complaining headaches, stomach cramps, panic attacks, fatigue. That's a very normal thing now. You know, I've seen people just not sleeping that much, so they're tired because of that, and then they're trying to overdo it on coffee or Red Bulls, and they've got these monster drinks now. They have these large cans of monster drinks. Like, what is this? And they'll drink about 3 of them a day. You know, so if you've got workers who are doing that, like, that's not right.
Yeah.
There's something there for them to look at, like, why are you not sleeping, right? Like, what is going on? And it could be stress related.
Yeah.
Could be stress related. Yeah. And then if the cognitive thinking as well, if they can't focus properly, they can't, and they're too scared to make mistakes, or then they're not going to want to own it if they make a mistake. Again, it's all a very vicious cycle. All of these things, if you really think about it, if you're from construction, you'll see this often. And my concern is that we've made it something that's normal.
That's the thing.
And that's just the way it is, and
not.
That's the problem, right? That it's become a normal way of being, and it's not normal, and it is impacting people. People's lives are getting impacted by all of this, and their lives, their families' lives, people on site, they're probably behaving certain ways with people on site. So with the pedestrian and the plant thing, the main concern there is, like, these do have an impact on the person who's driving it, and even in the vicinity. So it's just really good to have this awareness. So
just for the sake of time, because we've got 4 minutes left, I've got a couple of slides. I'm going to whisk through them and leave some time at the end, just so you can see. Now, these are all the consequences that can happen on site. And working on site, I can guarantee you, as a health and safety manager, or anyone really on site, you do not want any of these things to happen on your site. Costly mistakes, poor timekeeping, injury, death, decreased productivity. All of these things can be absolutely detrimental, and it's all due to poor mental health, which is why you need to look out for your team and those who work alongside you. Skipping on, there are major contributing factors at work that can cause mental health problems, burnout and fatigue. I'm going to go through them quickly. Unreasonable time pressure. Construction is deadline after deadline after deadline. Once the one finishes, the next one, or ends, the next one starts, and it's just non-stop. So managing those can be really helpful. Unmanageable workload, sometimes it's just too much. Maybe they're doing one job, which is the job of 4 people done by one person. Lack of recognition and reward. This is what I see again and again and again. The guys on site tell me, look, I'm just another number. They don't care about me. They never recognize me for the work I've done. I never get any reward. All I want is just for someone to say, job well done, mate. Well done. You don't need to go out of your way to give them that recognition or reward, but they just want to hear it. And what I hear again and again is they feel like the guys in the office get all the praise. Yes, great, you've done a good job managing your team, but what about the team themselves? Don't neglect them, because not rewarding them actually adds to their mental health problems. Lack of control. Again, if you don't have control over your shift, your working hours, the job you do, it does cause poor mental health. Oh, how do I stop that? Gosh, okay, it's ending in 10 minutes, but we've got to finish anyway. Then a lack of role clarity or unclear job expectations. Communication. That is so important. If you're not going to communicate every single thing with your team, it will contribute to poor mental health. Next up is working hours that don't balance the demands of time for rest and recovery. These guys work long hours already. They shattered when they get home in the evenings, and then on weekends they crash completely. So they don't have time to spend with their families, to spend doing things that they enjoy. They just crash, and then comes Monday, they work, and on the weekends and the evenings they crash again, and there's no real balance for them. So please note, what is your work doing? How is it contributing to their mental health? Next up is extremes of activity. Maybe their job is monotonous, or maybe it's chaotic. Manage those as a manager. You need to manage these extremes. Again, it can lead to burnout. Unfair treatment at work. Are they being bullied? Are they being micromanaged? Is there complete unfairness? How's the team dynamics? Are they working together? And then lastly is poor communication. If you feel like you don't have lack of support at work or at home, it will lead to poor mental health and burnout. So just being aware of these contributing factors, if you can manage these, it will already decrease their mental health or adding on to their poor mental health. And then lastly, just a quick slide, stress can actually lead to physical illness. And these things have been known to be caused by stress. So PTSD, stomach ulcers, cold and flu, eczema, depression and anxiety, even cancer, heart disease, asthma. It's all shocking figures, and we'll go through the statistics. I think, Jack, is it tomorrow or the day thereafter? We will lead into the statistics of stress and physical illness. So that is it. I tried to rush it as quickly as possible. We've just come to 12:30. I don't know if you have any questions.
There was a quick question from Janet,
Yes.
and she's just asking about what presenteeism.
Oh, so presenteeism.
Absenteeism, yeah.
Yes, so absenteeism is you're actually not at work, you're completely absent. Presenteeism is you're at work, but you're just not there. You're not focusing. You might as well be absent. You're sitting at your desk, but you're just, your mind's blank. You're not working, you're not doing anything. So by being presenteeism, or present but not really being there, you're actually costing your company money because you're not really in a full state of mind to be working. Any other questions? Danny, anything from you? Janet, Roswitha, anyone?
No, fine, thank you. You covered a lot of it there. I would agree with what you're saying there about the way that ourselves, the stress that people are put under in the construction site on a daily basis. People from other industries don't actually realise that everybody involved, you know, the amount of stress that they do actually encounter on a daily basis. And it's nice to see that the industry is now acknowledging the elephant in the room, so to speak, and taking steps now to improve the mindset of the people. Because before, like you mentioned, I mean, I can see here, I'm the only male here at the minute. And like a lot of people won't talk about it, you know. I mean, it's shown as a sign of weakness as well a lot of the time, which is wrong. You know, it's not. It actually takes an awful lot of strength to actually say, to understand that you need help. You know, that's from my experience from it, you know.
Totally.
More related. Sorry, the other thing I could say, especially Danny, as a health and safety advisor, when you're on site, I really got, like, the more we can be related with them, the more opportunity they have to speak up as well. And often they can't really speak up with their own managers and stuff. So our role can be really important when we're on site, to just, if we know what signs we're looking for, we can ask those questions as well.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other questions from anyone?
I think that's it.
No? Are we getting the slides? I wasn't actually going to send the slides to anyone. We will have the recording, so you can watch the recording again, and that will be on YouTube. Roswitha or anyone, if you want to drop us an email address, and we'll send you the link to that, just drop it in the text box and we can send you the detail after the session. I'll stay on for a little while just to give you time to drop in any email addresses or anything you have. And any more questions, you know, feel free to email us as well and ask us questions if something pops to mind after the session.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking some time out here. And we will be doing these every day for the rest of the week. And we'll have a different topic every day, just interlinking mental health and safety.
Exactly. And you can use exactly the same link every day this week, the same one you used today. But what we'll do tomorrow is actually have the link so you can get to the recordings afterwards. Sorry, I haven't put that up yet, but I'll have it next time. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope it's been helpful, and hopefully we get to see you tomorrow again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Janet.